Hey guys, this is MacMan0978 here with a tutorial in After Effects. This is my first tutorial in a while, so might be a little out of practice, but we're gonna try this. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do futuristic muzzle flashes. By that meaning something that you'd see maybe in like a sci-fi movie, or something like Cowboys versus Aliens, I think is what the movie is called. I haven't seen that movie, but something that you'd see in that movie. I've seen the effects for that movie, and I've seen the trailer, but something that you'd see in there. So what I'm going to do is, the first thing that we're going to want to do is find the shot where the gun fires. So you can go in frame by frame. So it's about that frame. So let's just drag in a marker here. And once we have that, let's go ahead and I am using Action Essentials. For this, you could also just find like a muzzle flash online, but I'm going to be using a muzzle flash from Action Essentials 1. I have some parts of 2, but mainly 1. So I'm going to come to muzzle flashes, and you can just play through all these. I want to try to find a large muzzle flash here, so this one ought to be good right here. It's, if you have Action Essentials 1, it's M16 side.mov. And I like to combine my muzzle flashes, so here, those are two that would be great for the combination. So the first part is, let's go ahead and drag in our first muzzle flash. We can do it about there. And and now just drag this to that frame right there, and hit W, and let's flip it around. Get it in the right orientation. That looks about good. 9mm side. Oops. That looks good right there. I accidentally messed that up. 9mm side to. Again, drag that up. Flip that around. This one is more of a cover. I'm going to bring the opacity down on this. So opacity, bring that, and bring that there. Let's change the blending mode on that top one to an add. There, or actually, let's do subtract. No, that subtract doesn't look good. Screen it. And now 9mm 1. Drag that there. And just kind of, we can just size it up a little bit. And then W and V. This one, I'm going to bring the opacity down just a little bit. And all those just last one frame, so if the gun had a lot of movement, or if it was a very crummy looking muzzle flash, you wouldn't have to worry too much about it looking ugly. So I did drag the 9mm below the M16 side, just because I felt that those weren't as important, and I didn't want it on top. So now that we got that done, if we drag through, we got the footage, it comes up, bam. Now this is totally optional. This is how I'm going to be doing it though. I'm going to be using Video Copilot's optical flares for this. You could, if you wanted to, use No Light Factory, I believe. Well, I have No Light Factory. I think it's No Light Factory. And I think that's the only flare plugin I know of. But so the next thing you're going to want to do is come to New and come to Solid. I'm just going to call this one lens flare. Create that, video copilot, and optical flares. So now you see we have this lens flare, and this might be helpful if you're just coming to this tutorial for this, to know how to use video copilot optical flares or do something, or how to blend it. This is very important part, especially if you haven't used optical flares. Do not composite this onto your footage. If you put this on your footage, you will not be able to blend it very well. It will not be, and there will be no way possible to. Well, I'm sure there's a way. Just there would be no way for me to get it off the black background. So now you can see we have this lens flare. I don't want to use this one, so I'm just going to click options and just size it up just a little bit. I'm going to come to preset browser, natural flares. I'm going to see if there's one here. I don't know many of these flares because I do not use optical flares very often. This tact light might be good. Spike ball. No. I don't want that red thing right there because I do not like that one. This one has a lot of it. There's that. And then we can also composite a bunch of lens flares on here too. So I'm going to do an add. And now, what I'm going to do, sorry about that, I got an email. It's gone off in a couple different places. So there's that. And instead of making this 1 frame long, I'm going to come over 2 frames and create this a 2 frame thing. Now it's going to look kind of poopy if you don't what's the word, keyframe it. So over here in optical flares, I'm going to keyframe the position X, Y. Make sure you have the lens flares selected, and just come over to the 2nd frame, keyframe it here, and you're done. So you notice that right here, if I just select this right here, I'm just going to select the area that I want to render, or the area that I want to RAM preview. You can see it keyframes with the gun, so or moves with the gun, I should say. It doesn't keyframe with the gun. The gun isn't keyframing. So that does look cool and all, but what I want to do, I want to put another lens flare in there. So I'm going to create another solid. I'm going to call this lens flare 2. And come to optical flares, drag it on there, and let's come to a different one. I'm going to use a motion graphics one. Because these ones, I want to get a realistic looking one, a natural looking one, and I want to get a very futuristic and sci-fi, not very natural looking flare. So 50mm prime looks good. Let's go ahead and just select that, and let's come to an add for this one, 2, and that. This time I'm going to drag it just like right there. So again, drag the footage down to the 2 frames, and here we have that. And again, keyframe the position X, Y. Sorry, I accidentally opened up my spotlight search. And keyframe it back. So we got our motion, and you can see they stick on there. And you're going to say, man, you're like in love with lens flares. And yes, I'm going to add one more, lens flare 3. And again, bring optical flares on here. You guys know the drill. I'm going to bring that down to time, and again come into options, going to come to motion graphics and use the cool flare. It's actually the name of the flare. So come to add, and again, let's find the position of it. There, very bright shot. So again, keyframe it. So there's that, and here's that, and then notice. So there are 3 flares on there. They look very cool, and with some sound effects and everything. Let's just render this full screen. So it does look. It's very short. So if you wanted to, you could drag those out to about 4 frames if you wanted to, and render that. But again, the motion does not follow it, so I'm going to keep mine at 2 frames. So yeah, that's the basics of it. You get the gist. And I want to thank you guys for watching this tutorial, and I'll be back with more After Effects tutorials.